This is the second part of the week number 6 lab activity video. Again, we're continuing our discussion on problem solving. In the first video, or the video that talked about the first part of problem solving, we categorized problems into two categories: analytical type problems and creative type problems. And we explored techniques used in solving analytical type problems. Then we also looked at techniques used in solving creative type problems. This video talks about different problem solving styles. Each person has an individual problem solving style, and it is important that we explore our individual problem solving styles so we can bring our best strengths or our best selves to our team to solve a problem. And in this particular case, I'm hoping that you would apply this to your lab 3. So let's start our discussion on problem solving styles. Research has shown that when we're solving a creative type problem, we have two stages in that process. The first stage is what we call the divergence stage, and the second stage is what we call the convergence stage. A divergence, as the name would imply, would be to start at one point and reach out for as many ideas as possible. If you remember a couple of weeks back when you did your ideating activity, you had a problem statement, and from that problem statement, which was one point, you came up with a plethora of different ideas on how to solve that problem. So that's the divergent process. The convergent process, on the other hand, uses analytical and evaluative tools to narrow down the possibilities so that we come up with just one solution that would yield the best results. So again, remember, this is within the context of creative problem solving, and we're saying that the creative problem solving process has two stages. The first stage being the divergent process, generating multiple ideas, and then the convergent process, shrinking down those multiple ideas to just one solution. And when you start your lab 3, you'll be going through this process all through the semester. You've already started going through the divergence process, understanding how to generate multiple ideas, and then shrinking it down at the convergent process to just one solution. From these two stages emerges our individual preferred problem solving styles. So you could be a divergent thinker, or you could be a convergent thinker. We say that a divergent thinker uses a lot of imagination, churns out lots of ideas. A convergent thinker uses evaluative analytical tools to just shrink down to one particular idea. Dr. Basadu further identifies 4 styles that have emerged under the divergent thinking process and the convergent thinking process. And for the purposes of this class, we will be using Dr. Basadu's brain model that divides up the brain into 4 quadrants, saying that in the first quadrant, there's a lot of generating going on, and we're going to explain these terms shortly. In the second quadrant, there's a lot of conceptualizing going on. In the third quadrant, there's a lot of optimizing going on. And in the fourth quadrant, there's a lot of implementing going on. This is the brain model that Dr. Basadu created. And so in quadrant 1, we have generators. Generators, as the name would imply, are those people that can come up with a million ideas. Just to mention that quadrant 1 and 2 fall under the divergent process, while quadrant 4 and 3 fall under the convergent process. So the divergent process, like I mentioned, has to do with quadrant 4 and quadrant 3. So the generator in quadrant 1 comes up with a lot of ideas. Examples of folks in quadrant 1 would be people like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk that can come up with so many different ideas for a particular problem. Then quadrant 2 are conceptualizers. Conceptualizers also like to handle lots of different ideas, but the conceptualizer now takes the various ideas that a generator has and starts to apply scientific and mathematical models and algorithms to those ideas to investigate the efficacy or the viability of those ideas based on scientific facts. Steve Wozniak was a great example, or is a great example of a conceptualizer, and working with Steve Jobs was able to ensure that the Apple products saw the day of light. So generator, conceptualizer, both under the divergent process of handling lots of different ideas. Then from the conceptualizer, we move on to the optimizer. And now remember, the optimizer falls under the convergent process. The convergent process, we need to start whittling down the thousands of ideas to just one particular idea that we want to, that we would like to implement. And so the optimizer is very practical. The optimizer decides on which prototype, which idea will optimize profitability margins, is most usable for users, will fit under the timeline for manufacturing. And please bear in mind that all these different quadrants are engineers. So don't think that you've got to be an economist to be an optimizer. As an engineer, you could also be an optimizer. Then from the optimizer, we move on to the implementer. The implementer just wants to get it done. The implementer would then take the designs and instructions from the optimizer and implement, get all the instructions on design to code or to produce the CAD drawings for the product that the team is trying to create. So these are the different types of problem-solving styles. You can carry on with more research on this on the internet. There's actually a test, a psychometric test, to determine which problem-solving style is your preferred problem-solving style. But I think it's rather expensive. So I hope that from my explanation, you're able to determine which is your preferred problem-solving style. So what I'd like you to do also in your teams, in your Lab 3 teams, is to determine who is a generator in your team, who is a conceptualizer, who is an optimizer, and who is an implementer. So please, on Microsoft Teams, have this discussion and post the results either in a Word document or a PDF slide for me to see in your Microsoft Teams. Again, I encourage you to have a video meeting or a phone meeting with your Lab 3 teams and talk about your different problem-solving styles to identify which one you are. And I hope that each team has a complete set of problem-solving styles, because research also shows that if we have a complete set of different problem-solving styles, then the team will produce cutting-edge technology, cutting-edge products. And in placing you in your Lab 3 teams, I have considered what I thought to be each of your different problem-solving styles. So I hope I got it right. I look forward to seeing your postings on your Microsoft Teams channels. Again, I'm not grading this activity, but I need to see everyone participating in this activity. Thank you. This ends the videos for Week 6 lab session. Have a great day.